Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here and you've never seen my face before, I am ChimereNicole, and today we're going to be doing a part 2 of my previous video, and that's when we talked about some things that I do not regret doing or implementing in my life as a woman in her 30s. And I thought this would be a good kind of chit chat, girls chat type video that we can just kind of sit down and discuss, because these are things that are not often talked about, but these are just some of my many experiences as a woman in my 30s and some things that I really feel like would be instrumental in helping you navigate this time in your life. So as I mentioned in my previous video, you know, your 30s is one of those times where, like I said, you're kind of coming into your own, you're learning about yourself, you're getting comfortable in your own skin. And I realized that now that I'm in my later 30s and I'm entering into a new season in my life, there were some things that I implemented in these years that have really been instrumental in me in having successes in a lot of areas. So we're going to jump into part 2 of this video, and let's go. These are just a few of the things that I have been doing, and some things that I know that you will not regret if you implement in your life as well. And as always, if there's some things that I pretty much missed in this video, feel free to leave them in the comment section, or even share what your 30 must-have things are as well. So as I said, we'll jump right into my list, and one of the first things I want to put on here is I do not, and I don't think any woman is going to regret, learning to lift weights in the gym. Now, a lot of times we talk about our health and our wellness in our 30s, which is one of the things I talked about in my previous video. But one thing I wanted to emphasize is that as you start to age, of course, we know that our bodies change, our hormones start to change, and just the way that we start to gain weight in the places in which we gain that weight. And a lot of times we lose weight and we kind of just cut out food, and we have a smaller version of the same shape or the same type of body. And in my 30s, I would actually say in my 20s, because I had a little bit of experience with that, but I would really say I started to implement this a little bit more in my 30s, and that was learning to lift weights. And what I mean by learning, I mean actually learning the proper form, learning what weights would help certain muscle groups on my body. And because I really wanted to shape my body, and I didn't want to have a smaller version of the body that I had before, I wanted to reshape the way that my body looked. And I knew that the only way that I can do that would be with weightlifting. So I definitely think that adding weights to my fitness routine has definitely helped to change the way that my body looks. And as I said, as a woman in my 30s, I know that it gets a little bit harder to get that weight off and to get the weight to stay off. So I know that the more muscle I have on my body, the more my body is going to be burning those calories, and my body just looks better. So definitely incorporating weight training has definitely helped me in my 30s. On that same path, I'm not sure if I even mentioned this in the previous video because I filmed that a few weeks ago, but I definitely have to say eliminating sugar has been a game changer. And like I said, I have always struggled with sugar. I love candy. I mean, I'm like a candy addict, honestly. So sugar for me has always been like a quote-unquote thing for me, issue. So when I learned to kind of eliminate it and definitely cut back on the amount of sugar that I was eating, it definitely helped to not only change my body, but it helped to change how my face looked, how my acne was starting to change on my body. I had facial and body acne, so when I started to eliminate that sugar, I noticed that my acne got a lot better. Also, just having that craving for sugar, it is really, really addicting. And sugar on your brain, I just read a study maybe like 3 weeks ago, and it says that Alzheimer's is actually linked to sugar being on the brain. So I have kind of gotten scared of the amount of sugar that I was eating, but I would definitely say that cutting out that sugar in my 30s has been one of the best things that I have ever done for myself, especially for my health. It's just been a game changer. So I definitely don't regret cutting out sugar. Another thing that I have learned to incorporate into my life in my daily routine has been not only applying sunscreen, but making sure I apply sunscreen to my neck and to my chest. So about a year ago, I came across an article, and it detailed women who were applying sunscreen, women who didn't apply sunscreen, and they also did a kind of double-blind study where they talked about women who wore sunscreen, but they didn't talk about specific areas of the body. And I looked at these pictures, and the women who didn't wear sunscreen, clearly you were able to tell, but in the women who did wear sunscreen, you always notice a difference between their face and their neck and their chest. And it was such a eye opener, because of course, you know, we always think put your sunscreen on your face. We don't even think about our neck and our chest, where our body is always exposed. And they showed this woman, she was in her late 50s, and she had really great skin because she was wearing sunscreen, but she still liked to be in the sun. And she had so much sun damage on her neck and her chest. And when I tell you, it almost scared, it was like scared straight. I was like, okay, make sure I put the sunscreen on my neck. So I've definitely been doing that, and I do see a difference. My skin does not tan as much as it used to when I do that, and also I'm just making sure that I'm trying to preserve my skin for as long as possible. So we have a saying that, you know, black don't crack. Yeah, it may not crack, but we don't want it to get wrinkled either. So I make sure that I apply sunscreen not only to my face but to my neck. So that is definitely one of the things that I have incorporated into my 30s that I definitely do not regret, and I know long term is going to be beneficial for me. Now, I wrote this down to be funny, but I thought, you know, why not share it anyway? One of the things that I realized is that as I started to get older, because I have so much stuff on my plate, I realized that, you know, some stuff just kind of slips by the wayside. But one thing that I started doing in my 30s, even when I started to incorporate, you know, when I started having kids and stuff like that, I started to make sure that all of my doctor's appointments, if I could swing it, I would put all of my doctor's appointments on the same day. It just made it so much easier for like planning. I know that all of my doctor's appointments are going to be around the same month. They're, again, if they can't be the same day, I'll try to get them to be at least the same week. And it just made my life so much easier. Not only to make sure that I was always getting my yearly checkups, but just to make sure that I had a grasp on my physical health, okay? Making sure my dentist appointments, my OBGYN, all of the things I try to plan out at least a year in advance, and I try to plan it around, again, it's not the same day, it's at least the same week. But scheduling that stuff just really helps you to stay on task. Nothing gets missed, and you won't, you know, go a year or 2 or 3 without your checkups. One thing that I have definitely started to incorporate into my routine in my 30s, and I think that every woman, every person should do this, but I've done it more so in my 30s, is solo travel. It has been such a awakening for me. I have learned to love on myself on a deeper level, understand myself. One thing I say all the time is that you cannot love yourself until you know yourself, and you cannot know yourself until you spend time with yourself. So for me, solo travel is a way for me not only to spend time with myself and to start to enjoy my own company and get familiar with enjoying my own company, and to have experiences with myself that I enjoy, so that when I do these things with other people, I have a better appreciation for them. So solo traveling for me has been, again, one of the things that I started to incorporate in my 30s that I do not regret. I highly recommend that everybody does this. It is one of those things, again, that is like life-changing. So, I mean, of course you want to always do things with people because you want to share with those experiences, but there is nothing like doing things on your own and spending time with yourself. Again, it is a form of self-care, and it is an act of self-love. So because I have started to place myself in different environments, again with solo traveling and just kind of expanding my network, one of the things that I really wanted to focus on is making sure that I always presented my best self. Again, this was for me an act of practicing self-love. So one thing that I did was I signed up for a etiquette class, and it's one of those things that, again, kind of just really helped me to up the ante for me. It boosted my confidence, and it helped me to also kind of tap into my femininity a little bit. So I took an etiquette class, and one of the things that I learned was, of course, the proper way to eat, what, you know, what spoons go with what, how to properly lay out a plate setting. But the etiquette course, again, for me was definitely an act of learning to practice self-love, and it's one of those things that really just helped me stand out when I am in certain environments, especially when I'm eating at a table and, you know, they might see me place my napkin on my lap, or they may see how I'm holding my fork, and it kind of starts to be a conversation starter, like, why do you hold your fork like that, or where'd you get that from? So for me, it's definitely something that has helped me in my networking and helped me with my social circle. So I highly recommend that you guys kind of look into that if that's something that you're interested in, but it's something that I definitely do not regret. I do wish I would have done it in my 20s, but again, I'm in my 30s and that's when I did it. And it's one of those things that I highly recommend that you look into as well. It can definitely be beneficial for you for so many areas of your life. And as I said previously, I have started to really be mindful of the places that I go, the people that I'm with, and just the environments that I place myself into. And because of that, I really want to be more intentional about where I spend my time and who I spend my time with. So in that, one of the things that I started to incorporate in my 30s was surrounding myself with wealthy people. And not necessarily for the reasons that you may think, I guess, but I think for me, just me being a businesswoman, being an entrepreneur, being surrounded by money, it helped me to get accustomed to that feeling, and it wasn't like a new experience for me. But it also, I realized that the conversations were different. The intentions behind a lot of people's movements and actions was different. So my mindset has been, if I want to accumulate an excess of money, I need to be comfortable with money. I need to be surrounded by money. So I started to place myself in environments where wealthy people, I've learned a lot, not only about myself, but just how different people operate in the world. And it's one of those things that has just been beneficial to me in my 30s, that has helped me with business strategies, has helped me with my networking, has helped me with my forms of communication. It has really just been an asset to me. And it's one of those things that, again, I wish I would have learned in my 20s, but I started to really tap into this, and it's been an experience. It's really been a journey, but it's something I definitely don't regret doing in my 30s. And it's something that I think that you can also benefit from. And when I say kind of surround myself with money, it doesn't necessarily mean a different racial or ethnic group. It just means placing yourself in environments where people are of the same mindset, people who are actually trying to make a difference, people who are actually being impactful, people who are actually at the top of their fields in their A game. So maybe I should say, instead of saying excess of money, maybe I should say in different circles of wealth, because wealth is not only financial, it is educational, it is societal. So definitely placing myself in more affluent spaces has been beneficial to me as a woman, as an entrepreneur, and it's something that I definitely think being in my 30s has definitely helped to not only inspire me, but to drive me in my own personal business practices. So we're getting to the end of my list, and I'm going to kind of get a little bit deep here, but again, these are things that I think have been definitely beneficial for myself. And one of those things is kind of understanding the difference between being selfish and being selfless. And I know it sounds kind of like, you know, cliche because it kind of rhymes a little bit, but hear me out. When I think about being selfish, you know, it kind of has that negative connotation to it, and so you're like, oh, she's selfish, and it's like you want to always think negative. And in my 30s, I realized that being selfish it doesn't have to be a negative thing. Being selfish means that I am placing my needs before others, and I'm a mother, so sometimes that can kind of be hard. But when I think about just me in the other hats that I wear, like I said, I am an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner, and all of the different other areas of my life, sometimes being selfish is warranted. It is necessary in order for me to honestly do the things that I want to do and to accomplish the goals that I have set. I have to be selfish, meaning I have to put my needs above others in order for me to get the job done. And when I think about being selfless, I think about how much of myself I have to give away and what's kind of left for me. I'm giving so much of myself to help other people and to be there for other people, but there's nothing left for me. So when I need to do the things that I want to do, I have nothing left. So those are the two distinctions that I got. Now, clearly, you know, depending on your situation, those definitions may change a little bit, but I've just really learned to tap into being a little more selfish, not in a rude way, not in a malicious way, but just really making sure that my focus is not on other people, it's on myself, and making sure that I always have my self-interest at the forefront of the decisions that I make day to day. And this has just been a thing that I've learned in my 30s. Unfortunately, I learned it in my late 30s, but when I really started to incorporate it in my day to day, I noticed the changes, not only within myself, I was able to get more things done, but then I also noticed that that was a boundary that I have created with a lot of people, and it kind of helped me to wean out the people who needed to be in my life, who needed to be in my circle, from the people who were just benefiting from me always giving, giving, and giving. So one of those lessons that, again, I wish I would have learned earlier on, but I've learned it nevertheless, and it's something that I definitely want to continue into my 40s and 50s. And last, this is something I actually thought about while I was getting ready to film this video for you guys, and it was saving. One thing that I started to incorporate in my 30s was understanding what a budget was and why I was budgeting. A lot of times we budget because we're trying to think about, if I spend money here and here, I have more money to spend here. So when I think about budgeting now, I think about my budgeting, of course, for the things that I want to buy and the things that I need to take care of, but also I'm budgeting for my future self, for the things that I want to do later on in life, for the investments that I want to participate in. It's just for me, another practice of self-love, because I'm thinking about my own self-interest and I'm being selfish in that financial portion of my life, and I'm doing something that I know is going to be beneficial for me long term. So I would definitely say learning the art of budgeting and saving, and also investing in my 30s has been a game changer for me. One of those things, like I said earlier, I wish I would have learned earlier on, but it is never too late to, as they say, teach a old dog new tricks. Now, I'm neither of those things. I'm neither old nor dog. However, it's just a saying, but it's never too late for you to learn something new. It's never too late for you to incorporate the things that you learned and to put those things into practice. So as I said, for myself, it's really being mindful of my spending and my saving, and also learning more about investing and saving as well. So that is it, guys, for part 2 of the things I don't regret learning and implementing in my 30s. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that you had some takeaways from this video as well. As always, don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and also feel free to leave in the comment section below some things that you also have learned to implement in your 30s that you think that we can benefit from here on the channel as well. So that's it for today's video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.